else. Come on. I want to say thank you to all my brothers and sisters out there. Welcome. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome to Bridges Live. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. I've like I said, I was telling the podcast people, I've not done a show by myself in a while. And I've usually have some of my amazing guests has been on throughout the week. As you know, You Be the Judge, Freedom Fight, Talking with the Sarge, and just Mental Health Mondays, if you haven't caught those. But I have had some things that come on my mind just because just recently I've been I always write or write for a couple online journal magazines and health articles and things like that. But there's been some things that's been popping up and that's been regurgitating. It keeps coming up. And the way it's regurgitating, it is throw up. It is nothing but a poison that's coming inside the body. And I want you to think about what throwing up is. The body is not retaining it for some reason. Maybe you just it's not ready for digestion. So here's why I call it regurgitation or throwing up. When we talk about the race and races or racial inclusions or diversity training, and this has been going on now for a couple years, if not a year, or it's really been hyper focused on since this new administration has taken place because of the past administration and what people have felt. It's all crap. That's how I feel about it. Because you are forcing people to want to either be included or you're forcing people to include people they don't want to be included. Now, when we talk about racial diversity, the people who are getting these lessons, classes, education, and workforces, and I do them for companies and corporations, and I do them for people. But my question is what is your purpose to get out of this? If you're having, how many complaints have you had in your human resource, in your HR department? Have you had a lot of comments? Have you had a lot of problems? That doesn't really tell a tale, and I'll tell you why. Because people who feel racially separated or disrespected because of factors, they don't often say. They keep their head down and they just pile through their work and they say, "You're paying me, I'm just getting my job done." That's not a healthy work environment. I know when I'm working with people about being healthy, you have to live in healthy spaces. A lot of spaces are not healthy. But the question, there's so many other factors in there. Can an employer help you be in a safe, healthy space? I don't often believe that many companies and corporations can care or give a damn if you're happy in their space. As long as you get the product and the productivity done, as long as you are doing what you say you can do, whatever job it is, whatever your degree is, wherever it is, the space you work in, as long as you can get the work done, I'm not too sure if the majority could care less of how you feel. Now, if it's really out of hand, you know what I mean, like sexual harassment, there's a lot of nastiness that goes on about that, and I really think that should be taken care of too. But here's the thing: why aren't we being honest with people? Why aren't we being honest with ourselves about who we care about or who we don't care about? Because you can give a class, right? Let's take this back to something so minimal, right? Let's take a health class in high school. Health class in high school taught you a lot of things. And yet, there's still an overabundance of fat people in the United States. So they taught you something, you just didn't really care. It didn't really affect you until it starts affecting your health. And then it's an aha, I guess I should start doing something to be better. And that's what racial inclusion is. It's another health class that you're not going to really care about until you believe you are sick or unhealthy. But what if you think that if I eat the way I want to eat, I have as much sugar as I want to have, I want to think the way I think, and I don't feel like I'm unhealthy, why are you throwing this down my throat? Because that's where these weaponizing words are coming and saying socialistic attitude, socialistic, communist, all these words that people are weaponizing so they don't either have to learn it or want to learn it. If they, I hear this, if a person wants to learn something, they will. But if you're forcing my children to learn something then I don't agree with, then it's socialism or communism. I don't kind of disagree with that. If I don't think my kids should learn this, well, you actually have the right to pull them out of school or change the school board. And that goes along with poor education. If you believe your children are being taught education that you do not agree with, there are other options. Not everyone can have those options, right? Private school, homeschool, charter school. I get it. I get it. Trust me, I get it. The reason why this comes up, and I don't want to get into the brain. So most this backdrop behind me, and it's very pertinent to our conversation. You have the tiger, and then you have the dragon. In the martial arts, they're always in competing each other from wisdom, right? You have wisdom, and then you have strength. Okay, and yet they must form this union, this yin and yang union to inhabit and to live in unity. Are we able to live in unity if you get these classes? Will these classes help you? Are they harming you? I hear some comments of the regurgitation, and it's harming some, and it's hurting others, and others just don't care. When we talk about our nation's history, then let's be honest about what our history actually is. That's what we want to talk about. There should not be an opinion of our history, of the facts, right? Not just what happened throughout history, but the facts. Misuse of human life, misrepresentation of a culture, mistreatment of a religion, mistreatment of women, mistreatment of people. We have these charters of the human rights and human rights coalition and around the world, and there's been some atrocities has happened here, there, and everywhere throughout our United States history, from a bombing of this to the burning of this to the hanging of this to the dragging of a person of this to the imprisonment of a section of people because we were fighting them in a world war, to the encampments of these people because you had them build your railroads, to you know the migration of this type of people from moving them from the south to the Trail of Tears. There has been tons of nastiness that's happening in our history, and yet we all don't know each other's history. And because we all don't know each other's history, there are still people in the community that don't know their own history. They don't know their own struggles. And then now you want to teach them in a in a in a in a hopeful act to give them some type of understanding and inclusion to what these people or certain people could be feeling or would like to feel. But you're not going to change any of the prefrontal cortex and how it hears it or remembers it, or how the amygdala is going to transfer it. These are all brain chemistry things that you may give it, but if they're not ready for it, they're not hearing it. The hippocampus, the brainstem of how things are being reacted inside the body. You're going to teach me about racial inclusion diversity, and yet you don't know me. Not me as a black man, but me as Paul. Because, yes, I'm a black man, but we're not all monolithic. Not every race or culture of people are monolithic. You just can't put us in a box and say, well, these are these people, and this is how they could think. And this could be upsetting to them. I know we're trying to be better because we want to be better. But we're not also being honest with people who just don't want to be better. A lot of companies just don't care if they include you, if they even know anything about your culture. We worry about that. We're concerned about that. The Jewish population and the Muslim population, the Christian population, we have religion differences, we have cultural differences, we have city differences, we have north and south differences, we have east and west differences, and yet you're trying to create this inclusion to try to just put a spackle over it, to yet that hopefully this will make it better. And yet that's why the words get weaponized between socialism, communism, capitalism, democracy, nationalism, libertarian, all these different things, so we can end up chasing our tail, fighting each other. And yet there's the others, the they could care less if you're going to fight each other, because that is good for them. It's better for them. Because the only way we really have what you call inclusion is if you get the help you need to be a better human being. Here in Maryland, we have these cicadas, and I was going to write a story about it. And they've been coming out. These are 17-year cicadas, and they make the noises. Everybody sees that, right? Okay, good. But here's the thing about these cicadas. If they fall on their backs, they flap their wings, and they make these sound to turn over. And two could be on their backs trying to flip over. One might flip, and the other cicada would just slowly walk away, while the other one, most often, if it doesn't flip, it will die. We do that to each other. And we're supposed to be of higher intelligence. And we do the same thing that a cicada does, which is called to be an insect, we do as humans. We shoot each other. We steal from each other. We don't trust each other. We talk bad about each other. We drink too much. We eat too much. We smoke too much. We say we do. We say we love. Then we throw hate and spears and daggers with words, comments. We want to hurt people's lives. We don't fully understand our own. We don't fully understand our own emotions, our own troubles, our own trauma. We keep pushing, shucking, and driving. But these classes are supposed to help us? I don't think so. I think we just got to be honest with ourselves. Do we as a people, as a community, do you even know your neighbors? Have you talked to your neighbors? Let's go with that. Have you taken a racial inclusion class or diversity class, whether it be in school, class, workplace, and does that help you want to talk with your neighbor, your next door neighbor that lives upstairs in your apartment or downstairs, neighbor that lives across the street from your home, any neighbor, a neighbor you've never talked to? Would that help you open up to them and saying, hey, you know what? I've taken this racial inclusion class. I've taken this diversity class, and I apologize. I just never really introduced myself. I've waved. We've been living across each other's street for X amount of years, and I just don't know you. Will it help you do that? Because if it helps you do that, then I'm all for it. Because even in the Black community, we have a hard time being together because we all have separate traumas. We have elections coming up, and yet These elections words, hear them, they're weaponizing against your mind and your thinking and your emotional state. Your mind and your thinking and your emotional state. Because that's what they're driving, and that's what they're pulling, and that's what they're pushing. Conversations, when they're open and full of love and joy. Now, I'm not saying the conversations have to be only in about love and joy, but if you talk with love and joy in your heart, then the conversation is easy. It's easy, even if it's painful, because it hurts to hear something that you did not know that a person felt or thought. You can still have joy and love. That's the living practice. That's part of the practice, to have joy and love within the heart. So even if you hear something, you can have acceptance. Not acceptance for accepting them for what they say, acceptance for how you're feeling about how it's hitting you. Because maybe you didn't understand how you developed that feeling towards what you just heard. You didn't know the history of it. So now, once you get that, that is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to do the investigation of why this is sad to you, depressing you. That's inclusion. Include yourself into the healing process. Include yourself into the living process. Because it's the living process we're looking for. That's the inclusion. That's humanity. We're going to roll, ebb, and flow in and out. But the work continues. The work is continuous. Does someone even know why you may feel the way you feel? If you told them, do you think you would care? And if you don't think they would care, that's a question you have for yourself. Why do I think they wouldn't care? What am I holding on to, or what haven't I let go? Or what haven't I learned about myself? I've been teaching exercises for a long time and teaching people training for many things. And there's certain words that come up with you ask someone to do something, and they're like, I'm not sure if I could do that. I wonder how often many people say that about themselves when they meet new people or when they ignore other people. I'm not sure if I could do that. I'm not sure if I can stand next to this person. I have more understanding of a person who hates me because I'm black and is okay with admitting it that they just don't like black people. And I don't need them to explain it. It's just a feeling that they have. It's just an upbringing that they have, and they don't like black people. Now, if they don't like black people because something happened to them as a young boy, that's understandable. But if you know that and you're holding that and you're still holding on to that, what other things have you held on to that is disrupting your life, that is causing unbalance? And has your faith helped you hold on to that sickness? I think about it. I know a lot of people aren't maybe spiritual or religious. I don't know. I don't know. I know the data says so, right? But it's fascinating that the data also says so about the percentage of the people who are this or that type of religion. They have some hateful views, which is we're not going to get into interpretations of the brain or the interpretations of how people read and what they read. I am concerned about the inclusion, racial diversity training, because if you don't care, then whatever you learn will never happen. It'll never be. You'll always struggle between what you're Tiger is and what your wisdom is. Contact me and let's have a conversation, an open conversation. Or just listen to each other and let's see how we all feel about what we're hearing. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. Thank you for supporting all my other shows. Thank you for watching. Thank you for contacting me with all your questions and comments. And I will be contacting you later. Thank you so very much.